Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will be spoilers for the film discussed in this episode. Please use caution in case you haven't seen it yet. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to Dub Talk, where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime and English dubs. Friends, it is once again another summer scorcher. But the corn doesn't stop popping as we're well underway for continuing our 9th Summer at the Movies season over here at the Dub Talk podcast. Jesus Christ, we've been doing this so long. Oh, sorry, I said the Lord's name in vain. I apologize.
Andrew, trust me, as a lapsed Catholic, I give you permission to blaspheme as much as you want. It's a national pastime up here.
Look, to be fair, tonight we are doing something we do not often do here. So it's a special occasion. 'Cause tonight it's time to break out our hymns, get our crosses ready, and pray to the Heavenly Father so that we can win the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah!
From Mars, Earth, Mercury, and Venus, Amen. From Naoko Yamada, Science, Sayu, and G-Kids, tonight we're going somewhere inside ourselves to talk about a little film called The Colors Within. First, introductions. I am Andrew, aka Classy Spartan, and I'm going to be operating the guitar tonight. On the stylophone to my right is the skeleton master of rock himself, the great Amon Duel.
Hello, and with this we have recreated the lineup from that one time that They Might Be Giants did Particle Man on Letterman. I hope you're happy. And by you, I mean me. I'm happy.
I'm sure, but to the audience, to our listeners, and to my fellow jam session buddy Amon, I must confess to you all a great sin of mine. This is, in fact, not a Dub Talk podcast episode where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime and English dubs, but in fact, this has been a ruse, a hoodwink, to spend however long this audio file goes to inject you with a musical class for all to hear. This is now the dusty old Sodcast, featuring Andrew and Amon Duel, also gushing about Naoko Yamada's Colors Within, and maybe also the Garden of Remembrance as well.
Hell yeah.
We have hoodwinked and bamboozled you all.
Fooled you.
Yeah, no, so this is what I've been wanting to do for a little bit, because I really did want to take a chance to gush about this movie, and also the realization that despite the fact that we've been doing these pair-off one-by-ones for a little under a decade now for the Summer at the Movies, we have not done one together.
Somehow.
It is very surprising. I think it's because of the fact that, I think I like to go a little more current with some of the ongoing films, and you're like, oh, what's this fucking shit from 1974 that is gonna get 12 views over the course of 5 years? Fuck yeah, give it to me.
Yeah, you pick things that will be popular. I pick things that I will enjoy. These two circles, there's a little overlap in the middle, but it's not very big.
Usually there is not much overlap between the two, but then you look at a trailer for a movie and then you look to me and go, is that man playing a father-mucking theremin? Andrew, we gotta talk about this. That is probably an exact approximation of how that conversation went.
I mean, look, I definitely saw it. It's like, is she playing a Rickenbacker? Is he playing a theremin? I gotta watch this movie. Nerds made this movie. I gotta see it.
Not only is this nerds who made this movie, this is some of the industry's best at character animation, drama, and high school angst. This time, featuring something you surprisingly don't see a lot of in anime. Catholic school?
Not now, certainly.
Certainly.
I definitely had a moment watching this where I'm familiar with the trope of, like, old Yuri stories being set in, like, some sort of religious school. And I think in my brain, I just assumed those were all set in Europe. And this is like, wait, were they also set in Japan the entire time? Do they have Catholic schools in Japan? What? Since when?
Oh, that's even funnier.
This is what happens when your entire knowledge of Christianity in Japan basically amounts to that one episode of Samurai Champloo about the persecutions back in the day, and absolutely nothing since then. You get to be surprised by stuff like this.
As it turns out, Samurai Champloo is a fantastic, wonderful show. As it turns out, the show that also features the zombie meteor from space may not be completely historically accurate.
What? No. Can't be.
Anyways, so let's give a quick synopsis about what this movie is about. From director Naoko Yamada, who has directed films such as A Silent Voice and Liz and the Bluebird, comes a beautiful coming-of-age story featuring music by Kensuke Ushio, known for works such as Chainsaw Man and Don Da Don. That's the other reason I have you here, Amon. Those are like your exact brand of sicko shit.
No, I looked up his... I'm sometimes bad with names of certain crew members. I looked up his list on ANN, which is, like, not that long, but is, like, 2/3 composed of things I personally like, and I'm like, shit, they got me pegged. Damn.
Totsuko has a unique way of seeing the world. She can see colorful auras around people, though she isn't able to see her own. She finds herself drawn to her classmate, Kimi, who glows with the most beautiful color of all. To get closer to Kimi, Totsuko forms a band with her and Rui, a quiet musician who plays the theremin. As the newfound friends develop the sound of their music, they start to uncover the desires driving the heart of their songs. That is a very simple synopsis, because it's very interesting to talk about this movie from, like, a narrative standpoint, because... how do I put this? What do most stories typically have? They have conflicts. They have narrative A to B's. They have a goal to be achieved. They have stakes. This is a reminder that Naoko Yamada comes from one of the greatest, like, animation studios of all time, is where her training comes from, Kyoto Animation. But a lot of Kyoto Animation stuff, for years, people have said is very, like, simple, to a point that it does annoy people, or it has annoyed people in the past. Like, she started on K-On! She worked on, like, a Sound Euphonium movie. She's not above working on stuff with conflict, but, like, this is a movie that's relatively low stakes.
No, like, this is not a movie about the end of the world. This is a movie about it's a sort of, I think, maybe an actual slice of life movie to a certain extent, where, it's about coming of age. It's more of a coming of age tale about finding your place in the world. Also, I just want to note, so I know who Naoko Yamada is, because, she did A Silent Voice, etc. I had not realized that K-On! Is what she started on, and for some reason it's really funny to me that the writer and director of K-On! Made this. I don't know why. I feel like this is the kind of music show that people who don't like K-On! Would like, and it's very funny to me that it was made by basically the same people.
I think the thing that people forget is that Naoko Yamada has a surprisingly dynamic taste of media she quite likes. Like, I know we mentioned, like, let's put it like this. I'm going to say you are a big Chainsaw Man fan because of the fact that you have the little Pochita Avatar and have for years now.
Yes.
And I think about Tatsuki Fujimoto, who like what makes his work so interesting is that his work is not incestuously dependent on stuff like all of the anime and manga that came before. He is like a fiend for a lot of like interesting, weird, strange like movies and TV shows. Mm-hmm. And it's clear like Naoko Yamada and the people she works with are also of a similar brand where it's like they love anime, they love animation, but they also love film. They also love music. They love all of these things that make this stuff dynamic. This is a film that you could argue could be like a live action theatrical script, but it is not a film that is like, it is not begrudged or bemoaned to be animation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because there's people that work on like an animated movie and you can tell they're mad that they are working on what is effectively the second best medium they want to be in. Mm-hmm. Where like, I want to be the auteur film man. I guess I will be the king of the castle with the fucking baby movies. No. Naoko Yamada, like, it's clear that she loves film, she loves music, but has a love, appreciation, and craft for animation, because this is a relatively low-stakes film that could be made as, like, a live-action, low-budget film, but it completely encapsulates and the benefits and the beauty of animation all its own. Like, the whole beginning of the movie, you have Totsuko effectively explaining, while it is not exactly synesthesia, it is basically synesthesia, mm-hmm. where she portrays colors as, like, auras and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you're familiar with what synesthesia is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the idea that, like, when you hear music, you perceive colors.
Yeah.
Which is very fitting for what is effectively a movie about music.
Exactly. Actually, to your point about her range and taste, while preparing for this, I found when she was doing promotion for this back at the beginning of the year, G-Kids had her do a little video with Letterboxd. Letterboxd will do this thing where, like, you know, some director or somebody's doing press, they'll do, like, what's your top 4 movies? Because if you have a Letterboxd profile, you can list, like, your 4 top movies on there. Would you like to know what she listed as her 4 top movies?
I would be very curious, because I feel like, by the way, shout out to G-Kids for actually doing what was a pretty astounding, like, press promotion for this movie. Which, like, not every anime film is going to get, like, the best promotion, but just, like, the fact that their promotion was basically, okay, here's what the directors like in their day-to-day, here's just, like, their weird taste in music and movies, and this is just them, like, being chill and cool. It's like, They actually did a pretty bang-up job promoting this one.
G-Kids, one of the reasons I like them is they clearly take a lot of this animation distribution thing seriously, and I think they're definitely at a point now where it's like, all right, prior to being bought by Toho, now they're a part of Toho, obviously, but even prior to that, they're very much like, okay, we're a big indie, but we have enough, like, clout behind us that we're in a much better position to try and make, like, you know, like, I remember, like, this and Boy and the Heron basically got, like, actual for your consideration campaigns, which, you know, unless Disney was pointing up the money, that was not something that generally happened for a lot of anime movies, I feel like. They very much, maybe not like the forefront or anything, but they're much like, no, we can, to be very blunt, it's very much like, this is a movie that we can definitely pitch to people who otherwise don't care very much about anime, or at least not, like, the kind of anime that's popular. You know, your mom, you can convince your mom to watch this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
That's, like, it has an appeal, you know, yeah, it has a appeal that, you know, people who aren't going to be interested in, like, you know, Chainsaw Man would like. Anyways.
The Letterboxd.
Yes, so her top 4. Cinema Paradiso, which is like it's an Italian movie from the 80s, I think. It's like an art house, like, all-timer classic. Like, if you talk to film nerds, if they haven't seen it, they're at least familiar with it. Like, this is you know, high, you know, heartwarming, highbrow, classy, great. A French-Canadian movie called Mommy that I'm not familiar with, but based on the clips they show in this little video, very, you know, also very art house, like it's a drama about a mother and her kid who has a lot of issues, and she's trying to figure out how to be a single parent to him. Tom Popo, which if you're not familiar with it, this is a Japanese comedy about making ramen. And my best description is that it is a movie that is in the Criterion Collection that definitely annoys the kind of people who take the Criterion Collection too seriously and get irritated when stuff like this or Godzilla or Shaft end up in it, because they're not classy and dignified enough in their minds.
Like, the Criterion Collection is kind of as much of a movie for like a movie club for sickos as it is art house auteur stuff.
The problem is that the art house auteur people who aren't sickos forget that the sickos are a large part of that population too, and so they get mad when they have to be reminded about that.
All right, and what is the last of her letterbox?
The last one is The Goonies. Which it was very funny to learn this and then rewatch the crate digging video where she in fact points out that her favorite Cyndi Lauper song is the theme song Cyndi Lauper did for The Goonies.
Oh, I did not catch that at all. That's incredible.
Goonies are good enough.
God bless. That's incredible.
That's great. It's like, yeah, no, this is like the spread I'd want to see from a director like her. This is pretty good. I like this.
I'm also very happy because, like, I get the feeling you are somebody who is tangentially associated with, like, Kyoto Animation, but it is not a company or a range of anime you have actively sought out. Unless we have thrown you on a podcast episode named Nichicho, My Ordinary Life.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing where I've definitely seen like some of their big projects, but it's like, you know, I saw Haruhi because that was very big, you know, like when I was at the right age to care about it, but I didn't see any of like, you know, the visual novel adaptations they did prior to that. You know, I saw Nichijo, but I haven't seen any of Sound Euphonium, never saw any of K-On! I've seen this, obviously. That's like it's very much a thing where if you say like what Kyoto anime stuff, if you ask me like to list it all, it's like, well, this guy's a poser. Who the hell watches this subset of Kyoto anime shows and nothing else? Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. But I do want to talk a little more about this film and also the other film that is connected to this set, because I do kind of feel it will be part of the conversation I want to have about it. Mm-hmm. But first, I'd like to go into who was involved with the English dub of this, because this does have an English dub attached, and we are here to talk about that as much as the film, as much as the works of Naoko Yamada, Reiko Yoshida, and Kensuke Ushio as well. And this dub has been dubbed by the wonderful folks over at NYAV Post. This is directed by Mike Sinter-Nicholas, assisted, casted, and also part of the English song adaptations, Stephanie Shea. On the ADR script, we have Kyle McCarley, and assisting with Stephanie on the songs is Kylie McNeil. Mike Sinter-Nicholas has worked on dubs such as Belle, Inuo, Lou Over the Wall, Mirai, and Your Name. Stephanie Shea has probably also been involved in all of the dubs I have just mentioned, and has also directed stuff such as Night is Short, Walk On Girl, A Silent Voice, Pompo the Cinephile, Goodbye Donglies, and Tokyo Godfathers. Kyle McCarley has written scripts for films and projects such as Inuo, The Deer King, several episodes of Star Wars Visions, Great Pretenders First Arc, and Vampire in the Garden. And as far as the song localization and adaptation, Kylie McNeil you'll know as being the lead and star, but also the singer in the film Belle. And Stephanie Shea has worked on song adaptation for other NYAV dubs such as Fireworks, Lou Over the Wall, Sin Duality Noir, which is another one of those things that Disney has that they don't want you to remember they have. So we're here to remind you, hey, go watch Sin Duality Noir on Disney Plus and Hulu. And the Tatooine Rhapsody episode of Star Wars Visions. A lot of credits, a lot of stuff to go into there.
Yep.
but I do think it's all worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Actually, another random thing, because I don't really have a place to put this or really talk about her. I found out Stephanie Sheh apparently has a history of ballet, and ballet is both a recurring theme, visual motif in this film, and Stephanie herself gets to play the ballet instructor in this movie, and I think that's cool.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to start us off, buddy?
I know part of it is just that NYAV Post has become the go-to studio that G-Kids dubs a lot of their stuff through. But when you lay out the credits that Mike and Stephanie have accumulated over the last 10 years, it's like, wow, Jesus Christ. So you've made all the good anime movie dubs. Okay. Cool. And the great thing is that's still true. This, I don't even know where to start with. Do we want to talk about the songs now, or do we want to hold off that to the end of the section?
I think there's a conversation about talking about the songs encapsulated with the White Cat Hall band. Mm-hmm. So I think I will save that a little later, but It's safe to say we're probably not gonna be shitting on the songs and or the dub of the songs.
No. God.
Okay, I guess to sort of steer the conversation a little bit,
I
would say...
Mm-hmm. No, I do have a starting point, which is, as we were talking about, this is a movie. It's very low stakes, and it's a lot more about the growth of the characters rather than there's a specific conflict that needs to be overcome, and that's very much a milieu that I tend to associate with kind of quiet, usually live action movies that they open to less than 500 theaters their opening weekend, and they especially this day and age, they are often in and out within a month.
Basically, this is the kind of film that would get produced by Apple Plus or something like that.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing which would, if this were live action, this would be produced by at best a larger indie studio like A24 or somebody like that, not a major motion picture studio. And I feel like one of the things I can say about this dub that I think makes it so good is that it sounds like one of those movies. There's clearly been a lot of attention cared to having the actors here give performances that are naturalistic in a way where when you hear them talking, it sounds like people in a room having a conversation. There's definitely a style of anime dubbing that I think tends to not highlight the artifice, but because of what kind of show it is, you don't need as much naturalism. That's not an important part of the show itself. And this anime as a medium is a lot closer to stage. Having recently worked on Gridman actually, and discussing the behind the scenes stuff where some of the people in that dub, where their origins were one's closer to theater, one's closer to film. Anime is much closer to the school of theatrical acting than it is the school of film acting. Yes.
It's it is bombast. It is it is larger than life. Everybody in this 1,000-seat theater needs to hear you emoting and giving your 120%, while a film can basically be you could be quieter because this is a powerful microphone we have that can pick you up. Mm-hmm. And this is much closer, I think, to the film school, despite being anime.
Yes.
In terms of sound.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a... that's something that I think is very true of just the film in general. And again, if something's being dubbed at NYAV Post and Mike and Stephanie are working on it, I'm not going to have a lot of doubts that it's going to be anything less than good. They're too professional to turn in garbage anymore. But I really thought this dub did a good job of capturing that quality of the movie, where everyone sounds like a real person, like someone you might run into at, I work a service job. All these sound like people who I might end up giving directions to throughout the course of a day.
I also think, like, it is kind of funny to be talking about this movie in comparison to what I worked on in previous years. Actually, specifically last year, I remember exactly what I worked on. It was Mabaroshi. It was Mari Okada,
Right.
who is another female anime creative voice whose work I adore and appreciate, but it is like the exact opposite of this in every way.
Night and day. Like, both very talented, but with such different ideas of what kind of art they want to make.
Like, I was thinking about this earlier, and it's like, if this was a film that was written and or directed by Mari Okada, Totsuko would be in love with Kimi, Kimi would be in love with Rui, Rui might have a secret, unadulterated pining for his second cousin, and Kimi's grandfather probably had a gay Catholic experience with one of the older nuns in the past.
I am going to be very honest. As I was watching the movie, my initial thought is like, are they going to go for the love triangle angle? And I'll be honest, I was a little pleasantly surprised it didn't. Not because that would have been bad, but simply because that would have been... That's what I expected to happen. So when that's not really what happened, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to make this a little more difficult for ourselves. Don't go for that obvious emotional hook. Find a different emotional hook to go for instead. I like this.
It could have been so easy too. That's like why I'm like impressed by the fact that like they are a band. They are not kids that will fall apart because of the drama and the stakes, because unrequited love, or it's mostly them kind of growing up and figuring out what they want to do going forward. Like, it really is a coming of age. I think, like, I was talking about this in a previous, like, Place Further Than the Universe discussion, is that I'm so used to the concept of anime being slice of life to be, well, K-On! Another of Naoko Yamada's works, where it's like, they are cute. They are doing the fun things. They are doing some silly things. They are eating cake. They are hanging out. They are being silly and or moe, and stuff happens. But this is like, oh, I'm trying to figure out, do I hide my passions from the people that are important to me in my life? How do I tell somebody that I want to walk a different path than they are? How do I deal with the fact that I want to get closer to people, but I also have some unfulfilled passions? And it's just like vague, broad strokes where it's like, this could have been so easy to make a complicated film. Because I don't believe these are one or two dimensional characters. It's just the movie is not about the fact that Kimi and her brother ran away from their parents to live with their well-meaning, possibly hippie grandmother who did right by them, but also she feels like an immense guilt for dropping out of school. That is just a part of Kimi's story. This movie is not about Rui having to choose between his love for music and his family's expectations for being a doctor. It is just a thing about him. And Totsuko is just, I love her. I love her. I love this child. I love this precious child. What was that thing you sent me as soon as you finished this movie?
It's the Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme of, what's her name holding the dog and being like, I've only known Alan for a day and a half. If anything bad happens to him, I'm going to kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Rosa Diaz.
Yeah, Rosa Diaz. And I just did that with just, like, Totsuko's headshot. Andrew, I had not thought about the phrase sweet cinnamon roll too pure for this world in at least a decade. That is something that fell completely out of my vocabulary, but it was the first thing that popped into my head when I saw this woman. She's adorable.
Haha, we got him.
You got me.
But no, I think that's what makes this film very interesting, but also makes the dub very impressive, is the fact that it has, like, the indie coming-of-age film sound going for it. I think that is both a flavor they go for in the Japanese as well. And I also do think this is a neat little dub because NYAV Post is a bi-coastal studio in that they have operations in Los Angeles and they have operations in New York that they operate out of simultaneously. Mm-hmm. I think it is always neat whenever you get to see the New York side of NYAV Post, which by the way, a surprising amount of my friends were legitimately blown away to realize the NY in NYAV Post means New York.
I remember this.
I blew a surprising amount of people's minds, and I was like, did you not realize that?
Guys. You know what, this is people, I feel like if we asked our friends, do you know what AV stands for in that context, they would also be confused. That's the only explanation I have.
Like, I would assume audio-visual is, like, almost exactly what it is.
That is my assumption as well. That's what it stands for in the AV Club, you know, the Onion's arts section, so I assumed it was the same thing here, and from there, like, NY. Ah, New York, clearly. What else could it be?
What if they're gonna throw you for a curve, and the A stands for auteur. It's like, fuck! Anyways, I think this is a great movie. This is a great dub. It is a great cast that we will get into in a bit. And I think it is more of a testament to the skill of everybody involved that they managed to trick us into talking about a film about Christian rock.
Look, just because it's true doesn't mean you should point it out.
God.
Can I tell you a funny story about Christian rock?
I'm sure there's a lot of funny stories, and also probably a lot of not funny stories about it, because, okay, for full transparency's sake, people, I am not the most religious person in the world. Shocker, I know. But I don't hate what religion is. I hate what people make it to be. I think I adore what this movie... How do I put this? I feel like this movie conceptualizes what religion and belief is in a way that is far healthier than, like, the rise of pseudo-Christian fascism that is going on.
Yeah.
Not trying to be real, but also, like... It's kind of nice that, like, I can look at a movie where it's like, these are characters who partake in religion. This is a movie that is about finding comfort and strength in yourself with the support of a possible higher power. Then everything is going to work out because God dictates it. God believes in you, and God sees great things in you. It is like, no, you have the ability to do great things if you take that step. And I think that's a nicer approach to Christian stuff.
Yes.
I apologize, that went a lot more philosophical than I think you were expecting about your silly thing about Christian rock.
Yes and no. So, Christian popular music... The technical term for this, you ever see anywhere, is contemporary Christian music, CCM. The origins of this basically start in the 70s. That's when you first get people trying to weld an explicitly Christian worldview to, like, popular music forms. And one of the first people to do this was a guy named Larry Norman. He's not the guy who invented Christian rock. He's, like, one of the dudes that codified that as a style. I was reading up on him once, and I just found this very funny. One of a point he had to make is like, okay, if you're making Christian rock and sort of the goal is to, proselytize, you still need to make good music, guys. Like, he apparently heard the early, you think of, like, Christian rock, it's, like, really bland and terrible. Like, he hated that shit. He thought, no, stop making pablum for the people who already believe in this. You have to make it work for the normies, in essence. It's very fun to me that, like, the first dude who ever did it was like, no, you can't just make slop. Try.
Like, the thing I always associated with Christian rock is that it is music for a type of person who thinks salt on their potato is too spicy.
It is music for people who have never had to struggle in their lives. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, it's very edgeless. It's not going to challenge you. It's not very interesting.
And, like, you hear the songs... Okay, wait, we'll talk about the songs for a second.
But yeah.
You hear the songs in this movie, and you hear the guitar feedback for a second, and you're like, ooh! Ooh! And then you just get, like, the little theremin and walk, and it's like, ooh! And then you get to what is effectively the mainstream Christian pop, like, single of the group, and it's like, oh, this slaps. Woo, that's good. It's good.
It's good stuff,
It's
man.
good music.
It is good music.
All right. Shall we move on to our next group of believers?
Absolutely.
All right. So, there's not a lot of characters to talk about, but I think I want to prioritize these three in particular, because I feel like they are the biggest, like, adult figures in these characters' lives. We have Sister Hyoko, Shino Sakunaga, and Rui's mother, who is just named Rui's mother. Rui's mother is a nurse for a local island clinic. It's a family-run clinic, and there's the whole expectation that, like, her son is going to be the one to take over this clinic as he grows up, as he becomes a doctor, and that's just predetermined, predestined what it's going to be. She doesn't know her son's love and passion for music, but also he does not let her know it either. Shino Sakunaga is... It feels weird to call her, like, hippie granny, but, like, that is exactly the amount of, like, mise-en-scène going on with her entire house.
She does have the beads in the doorway as a pseudo door, which is a very, like, old school hippie way to decorate your house.
And also, like, she is, like, a pretty stylish, snappy dresser. Like, when she shows up to the school, like, the St. Valentine's Fair, my first thought was, and I cannot believe my first thought when I saw this in a movie that is effectively about Christian rock, is that, wow, damn, Granny can get it. Like, damn.
She knows how to dress.
She sure does, and she looks pretty fine in that. I ain't gonna front.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Sister Hyoko, who is the supportive, younger, but understanding, like, nun sister that is effectively the one that Totsuko is the most open with throughout the entirety of the movie. One that confesses a lot of what she's doing, and also an actual ally to her in times of need. With the other fun fact that, oh yeah, no, this girl knows how to rock too. I think that's neat.
I definitely... It is a fun connection to make that the bed that Tatsuko sleeps in is very clearly supposed to be Hyoko's from back when she was a teenager going to this same place, down to having, like, her carving her band's fucking logo into her bed frame is great. Like, that's great. I like this woman.
It's
more
pretty
now.
good.
That's pretty great.
It's a pretty good reveal for sure, and it's like, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Alright, playing these characters, playing Rui's mother, we have one Colleen Klinkenbeard. Playing Shino Sakunaga, we have Lonnie Manella. And playing Sister Hyoko, we have Eileen Stevens. Colleen Klinkenbeard is no stranger to this podcast, but definitely a first showing up in an NYAV Post project we're talking about. She has played characters such as Rose in The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, Charlotte Rosalie in Black Clover, Urza Scarlet in Fairy Tail, Risa Hawkeye in Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood, and Hana in Wolf Children, which has also now been licensed rescue and given a 4K re-release from G-Kids.
Hell yeah.
Fancy that. Lani Minella is... I found only 2 anime credits for her. She is somebody who has done, like, LA video game dubs for literal decades. So, I did find her for something called Burn Up Excess, where she plays a character Maya.
Alright.
But she has played Mia in Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and continues to reprise the character for the Fire Emblem Heroes mobile game. But she has played video game characters for multiple decades, including the originator of Rouge the Bat in Sonic Adventure 2, Maya Amano in Persona 2 Eternal Judgment, the one Atlas doesn't want you to remember, and the one that's a big deal for me, which is very funny that we're talking about how hot Shino Sakunaga is as a granny who can get it, Ivy in the Soul Calibur series. Which, look, if we're talking about confessions here tonight, people, Soul Calibur as a series that made me realize, oh god damn, anime titties are awesome.
A distinct rite of passage for many a weeb in our age cohort.
It happens to one, but like, you see, Amon, I want you to go on your search engine right now and look up Ivy from Soul Calibur for just a second so you understand where I'm coming from.
I own Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, my good sir. You do not need to explain the appeal of Ivy to me. I was a teenage boy once. I understand.
Like, god damn, I'm like that. And this is somebody I did not ever expect to be talking about on a Dub Talk podcast. And fancy that. And finally, Eileen Stevens, who's no stranger to the New York side of dubbing, has played Iris in Pokemon Black and White, Hana Hatsuno in the King of Braves Galgaigar, Tori Meadows from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and Season 3 onwards, Leo and Luna in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And very fitting that this is the person playing a nun, Belle Dandy, in Ah My Goddess.
A troop. Do the kids know what Ah My Goddess is anymore?
I'm gonna be real with you, but I only know what Ah My Goddess is because I think Belle Dandy is one of Hardy's like OG waifus.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah. So I think there's not a lot to go into, but I do love a lot of what these particular characters represent.
Yes.
And I also just think it's a very eclectic, interesting mix. I also had to be very careful about, like, which ones we talked about for tonight, because I don't want it to just be, oh, they're fun, they did a good job, but there's some interesting casting picks. Like, one of the other older sisters is Suzanne Blakesley, who is the voice of Wanda in The Very Odd Parents, and has been the voice of Maleficent for, like, decades. That's why union dubs are fun to talk about, because it's like, oh yeah, you know that voice actor you would never associate with your Japanese cartoons? Yeah, they just popped up in one of your Japanese animes. Fun, right?
It is fun. I expect it from older stuff from kind of back in the day. It's more funny when it happens in recent stuff, because it's like, wait, who's in what? Really?
Like you watch a 90s dub, of course Bryan Cranston's gonna be in it. You watch something nowadays, it's like, is that fucking Keith David and Pluto?
This sonorous bass voice, it's so familiar. What? No, it can't be.
Mm-hmm. God. But, yeah. So, any of these particular ones you want to start off on?
Let me see. I want to leave Sister Hayoko for last, because I feel like she has the most to do out of the three of these.
That's fair.
The one that immediately stands out is Lonnie does really capture the, like, cool older relative vibe that Shino has. Just like she's so, like, It's a combination of like, here's an older character, they're a guardian, etc., but they're so like loving and supportive of what their ward wants to do. I think that's part of the reason she has sort of this like hippie vibe to her, in part, is because like normally this feels like the kind of person who wouldn't necessarily, your kid's going to Catholic school and they're like, oh, I've started a band. Like I can see a version of this character that's a little more tut about this, and she's more like, oh, that's wonderful. You love playing music. Yeah.
I also got the impression that like the story happening away from the plot is that I think Kimi's grandma had to step up because she recognized that like her and her brother ran away from their parents. Mm-hmm. And she did not turn them over. Mm-hmm. Like, she could have easily just given them back and been like, you gotta go home and be with your parents. No, she takes them in.
Yeah.
Which, there is so little said about that, there is so much implied about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I find that so very interesting, and also as telling about her as a person as well. But you are right in that I think Lonnie just really does capture, like, nice, chill grandma. And the longer I sit on it, the more that I realize, oh god, did they create an actual Christian gilf? I did not know science could do that. Naoko Yamada, I kneel at your gigantic brain.
Her brain is big in ways we hadn't even considered in the past. Mm-hmm. Science does not know how to calculate these dimensions.
That is true, but no, I think Lonnie is clearly like an expert in voiceover for years now. But it's like it's pretty cool to see her just being like the chill, supportive, like kind hippie granny.
Exactly.
Like she loves her kid, but her kid's like she's so good to me. She's been so good to us. I could never disappoint her. And, like, it's basically clear that, like, it comes to the concept of sin and confession and guilt. It's not in a way where it's, like, if we're also going back to the whole Christian angle, mm-hmm. Kimi is not sad about dropping out and lying to her grandma because she's going to burn in hell, right, or God will be mad at her. She's sad about dropping out and lying to her grandma because she cares about her grandma. And she doesn't want her to be sad and worried and ashamed of her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
kind of in this. Yeah.
No, like it's much more on the side of like I don't want to disappoint this person who is important to me. Rather, not less that more. It's the direct emotional damage that could be done, not sort of like the something like grander or more existential.
And it's the idea where it's like there's a universal understanding of like there are people you care about and don't want to hurt, and not being alienated by the much more obtuse, very forceful divinity of God will be mad at you. And that's where a lot of like the Christian media gets very shitty.
Yes. It's that attitude of like like you shouldn't do this thing, because God says it's wrong, versus you shouldn't do this thing because that's bad. And yeah, God says it's wrong, but that's just bad. You shouldn't do that.
It's literally that is bad and you should feel bad. This is the Zoidberg school of religion.
It's the inverse of you should do good works because that will get you in good with God and you're more likely to get into heaven, versus like you should feed the poor because the poor deserve to be fed. And there's not much more to it than that.
It really just is as simple as like good deeds can be done for the sake of doing the good deed, not for the divine destination of where you're gonna go in a couple decades.
Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation about religion in the section where I'm like, damn, I want to fuck Kimi's grandma. Welcome to the Dub Talk podcast.
We contain multitudes, folks.
We have layers. Alright, we should probably move on. Rui's mom is also a pretty lady, but I also think that it's kind of cool. Hey, we're talking about Colleen Clinkenbeard.
I know, right? What are you doing in an NYAV post-dub?
I think it's just cool that, like, sometimes the fun thing about, like, dubs that if you really take advantage of is, you can just get a bunch of people from around the circuit and just, like, throw them in. We have the time, we have the resources, you got the care and the ability to get some paperwork done. You can do a lot with that. You could really, like, shuffle that around, not even in a remote way, just like, they're on the circuit, you could throw them in for, like, a session while they're in New York for a con or something. Why not?
Yeah, no, a thing I definitely appreciate about NYAV Post is they have there's a very strong willingness there to not just stick to their immediate acting pools. I remember this when I covered first Slam Dunk last year. Like, at least one of the, I forget who now, but like one of the actors is like based in Georgia, I think. Like there's it's not just like, okay, we're based in New York and LA, those are our acting pools. It's like we should look outside of that because there's going to be talent there, and we have the ability to record them. We should take advantage of that.
And, like, obviously, of course, some of those actors, like, if they do want to pursue this, you're gonna have the conversation of sometimes they might have to take the leap of faith to move to one of those hubs.
Exactly.
But, like, it's just cool that, like, sometimes willing to take a chance, willing to take a risk, and sometimes that pays off.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Colleen is a multi-decade veteran as much as everybody else in this cast, in this group of characters, actually. These are all people who have effectively been around since the 90s and 2000s. Compared to, like, our much younger leading ensemble band. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Colleen's really good. I think, yeah, she runs the clinic, but also in the same way, we're talking about, like, Kimi. Rui is sad about hiding something important from himself to his family. And, like... Okay. So, it feels dubious to talk about what could be queer metaphor in a very Catholic film by a director whose work has been criticized for... It's the whole KyoAni, like, queer baiting conversation, which I don't fully subscribe to. Mm-hmm. But, like, you could have a conversation that there is a pseudo-queer reading of hiding an important part of yourself from your family, of fear of being rejected or non-accepted for who you really are. Mm-hmm. Both in Kimi and Rui's stories as well. Even if the conversation is, I dropped out of school, or I started a band. Like, the conversation can happen. Sometimes, if you go, it's not that deep, you're a bitch motherfucker, and you're lame at parties. I like Colleen as well. I think she does a very good job at being a fun character, and yeah, I think her addition to the story is just as welcome as is Kimi's grandma.
Absolutely.
I think we're both in agreement that, like, the character with probably the most meat to talk about is Sister Hyoko.
Oh, yeah. No, outside of she feels like the most important character in the story outside of the main three. Like, it's them and then her.
100%. Which, I had never really heard her stuff before. I kind of grew up both past... Like, I kind of stopped watching both Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Past the eras where she was most active in both of those. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you joked, do the children even know about my goddess? And the answer is, as much as I like to pretend I am not one of the children, I am still technically one of the children.
I mean, I'm a little older than you, and like even for my end, like Oh My Goddess was like a like that was around, but like that was a thing that had kind of come and gone already. That was not a popular show. It was just still an extant show. So like even for someone my age, that's like, yeah, this is not a. She's like that weird thing where she's in things I've heard of, but not necessarily things I've watched.
100%. But I quite liked her performance in this a lot.
Oh yeah, no, she's very good here.
I think there's this level of, like, even removing the okay, what the hell do nuns wear?
Habit.
Like, what is that thing?
It's called a habit. That's what it's called.
It's called a habit.
A habit, yeah.
Okay, so remove the habit from a second. Hyoko is effectively like a school counselor, teacher. Like, she is somebody who is not too much older than the kids she is mentoring. Mm-hmm. She fills that role. Like, in another story, she is effectively the teacher that takes on the role of the advisor so that this club does not dissolve. Mm-hmm. Bringing this back to, like, other KyoAni works. That is, like, the role Sister Hyoko effectively serves in this to the story, while also being, like, a genuine, emotionally available shoulder to listen on to Totsuko when she really needs it. Mm-hmm. I think I realize what it is about the conversation of religion in this movie that works for me that would fall flat in something less transparently Christian. Mm-hmm. Naoko Yamada and the anime and the characters involved in it do not judge the decisions that these characters make. They actually listen and let them come to their own personal conclusion and enlightenment on their own. Mm-hmm. Sister Hyoko does not judge or blame the lies and the deceit that Totsuko shows throughout the movie. She does not hammer in, how dare you be sneaking out and lying to us? How dare you break Kimi into the dorms? How dare you be caught after curfew getting stuck in the snow? It's like, she already knows the character feels bad about it and does not hammer in, like, the almighty justice of it. She does not hammer in, God will smite you, or something like that. It's like, she knows the character already feels bad, and she needs somebody in her corner to help show her the guiding light. I think that's why this movie works for me when others like it fall flat.
There's a there's a refreshing absence of kind of like puritanical or Calvinist kind of ideology, which particularly in the United States, like, that's a very common flavor of Christianity you run into in the negative sense. And this one feels this is much more built around like religion as a place to find like solace, comfort, but also guidance. And then seeing as something like this, it's like, all right, we don't need to belabor this point. Like, do some charity, and we'll let this that's fine. Like, you didn't kill anyone.
I also feel like there is a simple message that I feel this film is going to that also kind of goes back into a pseudo meta narrative I want to go into about Yamada's recent directorial stuff. Mm-hmm. Accept the things I can't change, and find the courage to change the things that I can, is the motif for Colors Within. And I also feel is the motif for Garden of Remembrance as well. Mm-hmm. Because there's no easy way to really sneak this in, because I was like, hey, I wonder if they're ever going to dub that movie. And then I heard they threw this in, and I was like, oh, hey, nobody announced a dub cast for that. That is not a movie with a cast. That is a movie with emojis where dialogue would be. Mm-hmm. Which it feels strange to say, there are emojis in that movie instead of dialogue, but...
Cinema!
Which, God, you want to talk about, like, indie movies, Garden of Remembrance. Half of that movie is her basically waking up and doing a morning routine with, like, a pretty sick, Japanese, indie riff going on throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And, you realize, oh, that's part of the message of what the film is going for, about having to move on when a hole in your life is missing because something near and dear and someone near and dear and important for you is gone from your life and you have to move on. It's not a coincidence that Naoko Yamada is a former Kyoto Animation director and creator. She is not shied away from the fact that she left Kyoto Animation after the
arson attack.
The arson terrorist attack on Kyoto Animation, because so many of the people that she grew up with, grow to be friends, co-workers, colleagues with, that was legitimately traumatic for her, that those people were no longer there for her. That those people were no longer there and she had to leave. That's why she is now working with Sai and Saru, because she could not stay there. That was something she had been open up about. I did not want to talk. I feel like Colors Within is not a movie I wanted to bring about as trauma dumping and trying to psychoanalyze a director and work I no longer know. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. That's why I'm using Garden of Remembrance to be like, oh, this is the actual movie that is about the cathartic coping movie about the trauma and the having to move on from that, because that is ostensibly what that is.
It is very much a movie about the grief of there was someone very important to you and they are gone, not because you stopped knowing them or they voluntarily left their life. They're just not here anymore, and you got to figure out how to get up in the morning and continue living without that.
Exactly. And that's why I associate that with the assumption that this is kind of like that short was a catharsis movie about dealing with those strong feelings.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Not to be too this piece of art is about a very specific thing, but you show that, especially because it's getting a wide release now, but from what I can tell, that was finished in 2022, and that feels like the right timeline of I feel like I can take a guess at what was on her mind when she was making this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it basically was included in this because it's a 17-minute movie. It's hard to really show that in a theater, so it's including this with Colors Within makes the most perfect sense. Yeah. Especially because I feel like the thesis, the quote in Colors Within, Garden of Remembrance, is accept the things I cannot change. Mm-hmm. The Colors Within is finding the courage to change the things that I can. Mm-hmm. I think it's a two-part complete piece of that statement.
I think there are other reasons why they included this short on this disc, but I think that also just makes sense in that these pieces do feel complementary to each other. You can definitely watch one without the other, but they pair very well.
I wasn't sure I liked it on my first watch, and then on my second watch, I was like, oh no, this is actually really good shit.
I was impressed just because because she's a lot of her movies are very popular. They're not that I would call them crowd pleasers specifically or anything like that, but they've been successful. She feels like she is somebody who's much more on the making movies that are going to be, have commercial appeal versus being on kind of the hardcore avant-garde end. This actually felt I was surprised that she would make something this kind of abstract and something that doesn't necessarily smack you over the head with what exactly is going on right away. It's like, you watch this, it can take you a little bit to kind of piece together what exactly you're seeing. But consequently, I thought that was really cool. I think it's interesting that the person who did something like a silent voice took the time to make this short, about such a weighty topic and trying to have such an interesting view on what it's talking about, and also having a really sick soundtrack, frankly.
It's good.
Even if you're not quite picking up on what's going down, this is a great music video. It's worth watching just for that by itself. Treat it as a piece of art. It is, but it's a great music video too.
Damn right. Which, honestly, the fact that I think my biggest fear of Sai and Saru, of G-Kids, actually they're kind of both complementary because they both were wholly acquired by Toho. That is something that has happened, and I think my biggest fear of both of those companies going forward is the idea that they will slink away from that art house indie spirit and start focusing more and more on just the crowd pleasers that make the money.
Absolutely. I forget what, but G-Kids announced something in the last couple of weeks, which I can't remember what, but it was very much the concern I had when they got acquired by Toho is that a lot of the interesting stuff they picked out would suddenly start evaporating from their release schedule. And I need to look up what it is, but they picked up something that's oh, okay, all right, Toho is not interested in messing around with that part of how they do things, at least not yet.
I feel like the good compromise is recognizing, no, the Don Dons and the Ghost in the Shells, they pay for the weird, African Afro anime films that they're co-producing, or the stop motion film from the director of Tekkenkret, or
right.
all the other French foreign weird shit that's that's not for you, that's for the sickos, that's for the weirdos of the world. And it's I think Naoko Yamada and this movie is a perfect balance between the mainstream, oh, I like anime, I like KyoAni, I like that stuff, and the auteur sicko who likes the weird indie stuff as well. That's why I think it's a nice complementary mix, and why I think she's a good fit at Sai and Saru as well.
Oh yeah, no, the more I didn't see Heike's story, unfortunately. I want to now.
I want to see Heike's story too, because it's wild finding out how much Reiko Yoshida, the scriptwriter of this movie, Kensuke Ushio, the OST on this, and Naoko Yamada have all collaborated together, because they all feel like a really good band that brings... I think even in the special features, she mentioned, I don't want yes men. I want people who have their own styles and voices, who complement one another and can be their own voices.
No, looking at the three of them and what they made together, I'm definitely thinking of examples I can think of in a lot of live action cinema where you'll have a director and they tend to get a lot of the attention because of how film gets talked about, but they have the obvious collaborators who they work with, if not on literally every movie, at least a lot of them, and for whom part of the reason you like that aesthetic is because they work with this person consistently, because they clearly
they do not throw out the talent like they are nothing. They're no, I'm gonna keep bringing these people with me on every film, and that's why it feels like a joint.
Yeah.
I just saw Sinners this year, and it's yeah, his college roommate who does the music has been with him for every movie. There's a reason Michael B. Jordan keeps tagging along for all of his movies. That's why all of the DPs and stuff keep showing up for all his movies too. It's there is a vision of creativity and collaboration that unifies itself.
1000%. Exactly. That. What is a Ryan Coogler movie can have a score not by Ludwig, I don't remember how to pronounce his last name. It's not it's going to be bad, but it's going to hit different if he's in the stew as well.
I do feel this discussion about talking about bringing the band together and bringing all these voices together is the perfect segue for talking about the White Cat Hall Band, Totsuko Higurashi, Kimi Sakunaga, and Rui Kagehira.
That was a good segue. That was good.
Yeah! I've been doing this for so long, I've gotten good to know when to swing left.
Look, I've listened to some janky podcasts. It's a good skill to develop.
It is a very good skill to develop. It's those who know how to... Okay, how do I put this? Amon, I must confess to you,
sure.
By the end of this, we will be the White Film Bro podcast we make fun of.
No!
This is going to be longer than the movie! But, you know what? Amon, if there's anybody I would love to be the hipster white film critic bro podcasting with, it is you, my friend. Thank you for joining me for this.
Oh, right back at you, buddy. No one else I'd rather do it with.
Alright, so let's talk about, Rui is a boy who is he's a good cinnamon roll as well. They're all good cinnamons in their own right. Rui is a golden retriever of a boy who has a passion for music and like picking up cheap musical parts and kind of hiding them out and just playing and tinkering with them. Kimi is like the choir girl that dropped out of school because she couldn't deal with it. Now works at a bookstore and is kind of learning the guitar as she goes. And Totsuko is our emotional center of this trio. She has a ability to see colors as aura. She mentions that she is drawn to Kimi because Kimi has like a gorgeous color blue, which I believe is also what she associates with like her love of ballet, because her ballet instructor as well was also that same shade of blue. Mm-hmm. Rui she associates as like this gorgeous color of green, but she also is like, she doesn't know what hers is, what her color is, but she does not let that get her down because she is just kind of like a naturally chipper person doing her best. And I love her. I love Totsuko so much. She is a precious, precious ray of sunshine.
Like the cutest goddamn person you've ever seen.
Just like every time she is on screen, it is like, I want nothing but good things for this child. I think like what's great is that this is a movie. The strengths of animation is that like the live action, like this feels like a live action film, which characters that could easily be very simplistic. Mm-hmm. So much of their personality is conveyed just through the dynamic animated motions they give throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. Like so much of Totsuko is said by like the fact that she is just walking around town and she's just having a conversation with the little kitty cat. So much of Totsuko is just conveyed by... So much of these characters is conveyed when they're playing music together. And like as they gradually grow more confident throughout their concert. Mm-hmm. Just so much of these characters, like you get a simple frame of reference for who they are and like their general stories, but so much of them is told through their songs, through their music, through the way they move, through the way they talk. And so much of that is also conveyed through these performances. Oh, yeah. Totsuko is played by Libby Rue, Kimi is played by Kylie McNeil, and Rui is played by Eddie Lee. Libby Rue has played not a lot of stuff, but she is in Mobile Suit Gundam Kukuru Don's Island as a character named Lupe, and also starred in a Disney Junior show called Alice's Wonderland Bakery as the titular voice of Alice from Alice in Wonderland. So I think that's particularly neat.
That's a CV right there.
Yeah, like being the star of like a Disney Junior show for like at least 50 or so episodes is not bad for what I believe to be a child star as well. Which, did you know that the voice of Cheshire Cat in that is Max Middleman?
Please tell me he uses Ryuji voice. I know he doesn't, but I'd be really delighted if he did.
I don't know, but I will look up Alice's Wonderland Bakery just to find this out for you. And, he has songs. Cool. Alright, that's a conversation for later. Kylie McNeil has played the titular Belle, aka Suzu Naito, in Belle, has performed a lot of Broadway musical, live theater stuff, and I found out plays a one-episode character in Law & Order's Special Victims Unit.
Oh, she made it. She got to be a dead body on Law & Order. Wonderful.
We love that for her. And Eddie Lee, who has played characters such as Junior in Akudama Drive, the adult Ariel in Makuya When the Promised Flower Blooms, Cole and Mulligan in the recent Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quacks. It's GQs, but I'm just gonna say G-Quacks.
If it helps, I have watched the first episode in the dub. G-Quacks is what they go for. That is how that's supposed to be pronounced.
Okay, so he plays Cole and Mulligan in Gundam G-Quacks, Gladian in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and also Soulburner, aka Theodore Hamilton, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. Amon, do you want to know why I laughed my ass off when I saw that the localized character he plays in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is named Theodore Hamilton?
Tell me, Andrew.
I will, because I'm going to send you to a link of his on playbill.com.
Oh, no.
And inform you that from 2018 to 2023, for multiple years, he has played replacement and understudies for characters such as Samuel Seabury, George Eaker, John Lawrence, Philip Hamilton, and even Alexander Hamilton himself in Broadway's long-running Hamilton the Musical.
Astonishing. Oh boy.
He has also been an originator in a short-lived Broadway musical called K-Pop, but for multiple years he has been a recurring understudy replacement cast member for Broadway's Hamilton. And let me tell you, it's very wild seeing a piece of a playbill that talks about Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Makuya for his cast and credit lists.
Oh boy. Sometimes...
We've talked about Eddie Lee before, but I haven't had a chance to really bring up the fact that he is a Broadway performer, and I think he's also in Tick Tick Boom as well for the scene where they get all the Broadway people in the diner.
See, this is part of the fun of when at this point mostly NYAV Post works on stuff, is that obviously all the acting pools draw on their various local theater scenes. It's just in New York does it, you might get people who've been in actual Broadway productions that have won awards and shit. It's great.
Oh, that's gonna get really funny when I get to tell you the fact that this year there is a man that is eligible for a W Award who just won a Tony Award this year.
Stuff's good sometimes, man. Stuff's good.
Yeah. So, I think we should open on Eddie Lee because I think I love Rui for the fact that you are correct. This could have been the romantic foil that turned Totsuko and Kimi against one another. Mm-hmm. In most other things, even from works I would have liked. Rui is a good boy, which even Yamada describes as basically being a golden retriever. And Eddie plays Rui with that same earnest kindness and sweetness. Like when Kimi and Totsuko are banned from basically doing band practice for like a month, he basically runs at them like a dog whose owner has been out for several hours or days, maybe forever. I don't know. I don't know time. I missed you, friend. I missed you. Yay, yay, yay. And he starts spinning them around. I'm like, oh, that's adorable.
So cute.
Just absolutely charming. But also genuinely kind of confides in the two of them as friends and collaborators and is there to listen. Like, I think a lot of, like, the emotional heart of this movie is, like, when they're all basically stuck in the bottle episode in the church, where it's like, we are stuck in a snowstorm. I must confess to you the things that have been weighing heavily on me that I haven't told anybody else. Where they really get to open up and be honest and earnest with each other about their struggles, their insecurities, their problems. And Eddie's problem of, like, he loves music, but he knows he can't disappoint his family. And he's not going to, but he wants them to know he loves music. And he's good at it. And he's so good at it, he learns the theremin. Which, looking into stuff about the theremin and listening to the interview of Kensuke Ushio talking about the fact that they said they're gonna put a theremin in the movie, and he's like, ah, shit. How do I compose for the theremin? Why did we do this?
Do you want me to explain to the people at home what a theremin is, in case they don't know?
Amon, half the reason I have you here is basically just to unleash. I am here to tell you, Rock Lee, you have my permission to drop the weighted gear and kick the shit out of Gaara.
Alright.
Tell the people at home what the fuck a theremin is.
A theremin, if I do end up editing this episode, you should see, and you're watching this on YouTube, you should see one on screen right now. A theremin is an instrument developed by a Russian guy in the 20s, I believe. His last name is Theremin, that's why it's called that. And it is basically a box with a pair of antennas sticking out of it. One kind of parallel to the box, kind of by your waist, another one that sticks straight up. And I'm going to describe this very loosely because the actual descriptions of this require an understanding of electrical engineering that I do not have. But in essence, if you place your hands next to the antennas, you will affect kind of the current and voltage going through the machine, and that will allow you to produce sound. Now, the thing to understand is you don't touch the machine, you just put your hands next to the antenna, and then depending on how far away they are, it'll be, the pitch will go up and down, the volume will go up and down, that kind of thing. It is a nonsense instrument, and also, consequently, one of mankind's greatest accomplishments as a species.
It's a legitimately insane-looking device, and, it's kind of amazing that this film not only has, a really good song that makes the theremin sound really cool. Basically by the end of this movie, each character has a song. Mm-hmm. Rui's song, Walk, with the theremin solo, I'm like, that sounds really good and really cool. And not only that, they do a theremin cover of Giselle, which also sounds really good. And insane that there is a classical ballet score that is, spiced up with this really neat little theremin cover. Just insane. Insane and really cool.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. I'm trying to... What's his name?
Are you looking for the composer of the movie?
No, I'm looking for the name of the specific guy they hired to play the theremin on the soundtrack.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Go to A&N. I think he will be listed. Okay. I think it's specifically we got this guy who actually understands how to play the theremin.
Yes,
to do the theremin.
I believe I saw in one of the little bonus featurettes that's on the Blu-ray. Somewhere I saw them mentioning that part of the reason he is here is that the director saw him perform somewhere and was basically like, oh, this is great. We need to find a way to put this in the movie, in essence. And guess what? It paid off.
Mm-hmm. God, I know they credited him directly, but I also did not write it down because it's like that's such a strange role.
It's like what Ushio was talking about in the behind this. Like, I don't know how to write for theremin. I don't even know how to play a theremin.
But that's how you know, like, the team that worked on this has good chemistry, because they're like sickos in the way where it's like, okay, we all agree that he needs to play a theremin, but none of us thought, does anybody know how to play a theremin? And, like, that's why I like that G-Kids went the extra mile. It's like, hey, Yamada-sensei, do you want to try a theremin? And, like, they literally get her a theremin to play with and film her. I'm like, that's pretty great.
It's great, isn't it?
And yeah, I just think that everything that they do with Rui, like, he's a very sweet character that really brings the group together. And it's like, Kimi might have a little bit of a crush on him, but also, like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about, oh, does she have this unrequited love for Rui that'll never go fulfilled? It's like, no, who cares? They're friends, they like each other, they have good musical symmetry. She wishes him good luck on going to college, and I'm like, that's a very sweet scene. There's very sweet characters, and Eddie just has, like, the right, perfect, like, musical chemistry to bring these two together.
Yes.
I think I remember when they were talking about, like, if these characters were musical genres, that Rui is techno music.
Yeah.
He's, like, dance, EDM, techno.
My favorite bit about that is, so I'm gonna, in this section I'm gonna talk about a couple of the musical Easter eggs for people.
That's half of the reason you're here, man. Fucking go nuts.
No, I'm sorry. The one I'm immediately thinking of is actually in Kimmy's song, so I will bring that up during Kimmy's section. But okay. I feel, the fact that so much of what he brings to it is just that he makes stuff on a laptop is very indicative of the kind of musician he is. Like, like, I understand who that guy is. And also the fact that he just goes around collecting keyboards. Like, there's the funniest, this is not part of Eddie's performance specifically, but the funniest performance for him is, like, at one point he's walking around and, like, he finds, like, some stuff being thrown out, which is, like, a keyboard and a crappy microphone and a couch. And I actually thought my initial thought was he was going to leave the couch behind, so it was actually a very funny payoff when it's like, nope, he's taking the couch too. They need somewhere to sit.
I forgot he took the couch too.
Just to take this, we need furniture in this place, damn it. If this is a hangout spot, I do need the couch as well, but I am also going to take the keyboard and the microphone.
He's a very practical guy, and I love that he's just, like, you see him tinkering around where he's doing the mic check and he's going, yo, yes, it works. And it's like, he's so proud of himself.
Oh yeah.
Just charming character, and I like his addition to the squad.
He's great.
And then there's Kimi, who I remember we were having a conversation about this, about, like, what musical genres they were. Yamada never explicitly said what she thought Kimi's genre was, but I think you had an opinion of that.
Oh, so my sort of the style that actually, so this is appropriate for the Easter egg I was going to talk about, is her style feels very much in line with very, like, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on, this is usually going to be called, like, college rock or post-punk. It is underground rock music in the 80s. Like, not the stuff that's getting played on the radio necessarily, but often, like, stuff the indie labels are putting out, stuff that your cool cousin is listening to, that kind of stuff. And the thing that really solidified that is when they're doing the concert at the end, and it starts off with her song, her apology song. Before the song itself starts, there's a little, like, drum beat riff from a drum machine that plays, like, do you remember that?
Yeah, the fact that they open with the
right. That's just Blue Monday by New Order. Like, Blue Monday starts like, I heard that and I'm like, hey, it's the Blue Monday drum riff. I know where that is. Like if you watch they have like a couple of scene breakdown videos on.
I did watch
Blu-ray.
those.
Yes, when she makes an oblique reference to something that like people will pick up on. I believe that's what she's referring to because that's exactly what that is.
But yeah, Kimi's specific song is Apology Letter, The Good, The True, The Beautiful. Because like everybody gets a song. Kimi's song is that. Rui's is Walk, which is also as much Kimi's. It's like Kimi's with her, but you can tell it's Rui's because he's got the theremin solo. And then, of course, Totsuko has Amen, I'm Going Somewhere, which is... You know it's the banger because it's meant to be the pop banger.
Yes. Also, so before I go, I did finally find that the theremin player on this is a guy named Gregory Blanc, spelt with a C, like a French person. And I will, since you brought it briefly earlier, I will note my favorite 20 seconds of this movie is the bit where Rui is playing his theremin solo, and then Kimi turns around and starts having her guitar feedback into the amplifier. That's
feedback is fucking awesome.
That's like it, you should watch this movie anyways, but that is like that's like just the 20 seconds for like this is perfect. I don't
like there's
want this to end.
Like, there's this unique fusion of remembering, like, we're talking about, man, the reason, like, Christian music sucks is, like, because it's just bland, spiceless, no sauce. And then it's, like, the sauce of, like, he's doing the theremin, and she, like, does the click, and then she, like, goes up to the amp and starts, like, going for it and shredding. I'm like, oh!
No, this is what music's about right here. This is the good shit.
Which, as an aside, I love the fact that, like, their band outfits are also indicative of their personality, too. I love how, like, Kimi looks like a genuine cool punk rocker on, like, a $12 budget.
Yep.
And I also love the fact that, like, Rui is just doing a Prince cosplay and he has $20.
He found someone's old Halloween costume and damn it, it's gonna work.
It's so good. It's so good. But
really
also
great.
really good is just Kylie McNeil. I really love Kylie McNeil's like performance in that it is this very quiet, reserved character who's kind of trying to struggle and figure out what she is, what she wants, and I guess whether she did the right thing. I feel like Kylie McNeil's performance as Kimi captures like the closest to what is a teenage angst or ennui that this movie's kind of going for, that you could be like, you could have done this in, like, a live-action indie rock film. But I also think, like, she's got, like, this very sincere, awkward girl. Like, she's clearly, like, the cool girl everybody thinks is hot and pretty and has it together until you realize, no, she's kind of a bit of a reserved, like, stunted person that's kind of trying to figure it out, like, day by day. And I think that's why I like Kylie's performance in particular, in that not only does she just get the character across, but also realizing when that character comes out of her shell is when she's going for it. When she's going for it. You can tell Kylie is like a professional singer by trade, and it shows.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Because I did listen to the Japanese performances of the songs.
Oh, yeah?
I think I like the localized versions better. Some of that...
Interesting.
Some of that is that... This is not a critique of the performances of the Japanese sides, but these are... I don't know if the people voicing them in the Japanese are professional singers, but it is much more in that kind of, like...
I got the impression that, like, the people that are voicing these characters are also, like, relatively, like, fresh faces in the industry as well, which I find kind of refreshing compared to, like, okay, we got the high-profile Sayus for this, and it's like, okay, you wanted people to embody the characters less so than you wanted butts in the seat because Aoi Yuki is attached.
Exactly, which is good. I think it's really mostly just with the in the Japanese. I think they were probably written to fit their range, which is much more of a typical kind of like J-pop, J-rock range, which is relatively high by American standards. And Kylie, I cannot pick out things by ear, but I guess she's singing kind of the same melody, maybe like an octave lower, and that's just more where I like my rock music, basically.
Extremely fair.
Also, part of it's that Livy's interjections on the last song are just fucking adorable. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to her.
We'll get to her in a second. We're building up to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think like Kylie's performance really adds a lot of like layers to Kimi as somebody with a lot of like regrets, but kind of has to like figure it out as she goes along. Mm-hmm. I think like what also is great is that like you see Kimi by herself, but you also see who Kimi is both with Rui and especially who she is with Totsuko in, because I think like one of the most charming little scenes in the movie is when Kimi and Totsuko just like when Kimi breaks into Totsuko's bedroom and they just have this adorable girls' night sleepover together.
Andrew, you've given me a wonderful segue to talk about the other big Easter egg I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
I need to understand, what is the deal with Born Slippy?
So, did you see did you see the bits where they're talking in some of the behind the scenes stuff? They're talking about like both Yamada and the music person were talking about like, you know, the worst thing you've ever done in your life. The soundtrack for that is Born Slippy. You see those?
Yes.
Right. Born Slippy is by a British electronic group called Underworld. It was released as a B-side. Technically, the title of the song is technically Born Slippy Nux, and it is a B-side to Born Slippy, which is an otherwise completely unrelated song that happens to share part of a title with. And it is not a particularly well-known song on its initial release. Except later that year, it is used to soundtrack the final scene of a movie called Trainspotting. Are you familiar with Trainspotting?
I am not.
Trainspotting is a Scottish sort of comedic drama movie about drug addicts in Edinburgh, which it basically became the international launching point for the director, Danny Boyle, who would go on to do 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Years Later, right now.
My God.
And its lead actor, Ewan McGregor.
Oh my God.
And this took this obscure B-side that I'm not even sure the band necessarily had a strong opinion about and made it become like something that you will routinely see this. Some people are doing lists of like best songs of the 90s, best electronic songs ever. Like this is a top 20 contender every single time. It is if you're in the know, it's like I was listening to this and I immediately recognized what, because this is not the version that Underworld did. This is a cover that they did specifically for the movie, and I immediately recognized what that was. And I'm like, are they soundtracking their cute hangout montage to Born Slippy? Because indeed, this is the worst thing they've ever done. It's just they're nice girls. So the worst thing they've ever done is mostly just lie to adults.
Lie to adults, sneak out, pretend to be sick.
Yeah,
have snacks, read manga, paint each other's nails.
Yeah, because for them, this is something like kind of dangerous and transgressive, which I actually think I think that's very cute. As kind of like a contextual way of presenting how that feels to them. But yeah, like this is a song that like if you're prior to this, I was listening to an interview that was done on the a podcast I listened to called Ghibliotheque. It's a British podcast, talks about animation, and they had done an interview with Yamada at the beginning of the year when the movie was coming out in the UK, and he actually asked, like, because apparently this premiered at one of the places this premiered was at Scotland Loves Anime, which is like a
that makes sense. Yes,
dual city thing, and he brought up like, oh, are you like, do you know Born Slippy is in this, like, are you familiar with Trainspotting? And she was like, oh, I'm familiar with Trainspotting, like it was a big deal in Japan when it came out, like this is functionally a direct reference. And the host was even like, man, I really wish I could be in Edinburgh where Trainspotting is set when that scene comes up. The crowd must have gone nuts.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Now this is why I like these people. They speak my language. I really appreciate that.
Like, these are people that I think understand, like, this very specific vision and all that for things you wouldn't even associate, where it's like, why would you put that in the movie? Where it makes sense, where it's like, A Silent Voice is a great movie, and it is kind of like, what was the inspiration that got you to put in my generation into the montage that opens the movie? And I'm like, that's not something most anime people would think to do normally.
I mean, part of this I'm saying is, like, I'm much more of a Western music guy, so, like, this is all stuff I have context for, but even there, you know, I'm looking at that and I'm like, you want a primal screen of youthful, like, angst and ambition. That's what my generation is. Like, I can see the line here, and clearly the people making can see the line here. And if some of the audience doesn't get it, that's okay. They don't need to make the direct connection for it to have impact.
But if you know,
if you know.
Which, yeah, they knew what they were doing, especially when they got Kylie McNeil to do these songs and to play this character. In that the transformation of the quiet, reserved girl that's not sure where she's going in life, figuring it out, finding companionship, finding the courage to change the things that she can change, and also belt out some real bangers.
Hell yeah.
And now let's talk about Libby Rue as Totsuko, which is... Are we in agreement that this is the breakout performance of the dub?
This is way too early for me to say for sure, but the minute she started doing that monologue at the beginning of the movie, talking about her, her synesthesia or whatever exactly it is, my immediate thought was, well, one, it's like, this is great. Like, next year's W's are too far off for any of me saying, like, actual winners for anything yet. But something really good's gonna have to come out in the next, like, 8 or so months if Libby Rue does not win breakout performance. Like, put this woman in more things yesterday. She's like, I don't know, she's like a teenager still, I think?
I'm not sure how old she is. I get the feeling she is probably, like, if she is not a child still, I am assuming she is probably, like, early 20s.
Yeah, this is such, like, honest to God natural talent shit that I'm like, how have I never heard of you before? How are you not in everything?
That's why I think it's also neat that this is NYAV Post, is that, like, there is a strength, there is a naturalism to working with child actors and all of that, especially because, like, not every child actor is going to want to, like, seriously pursue acting, but, like, the ones that grow up and are like, I really do want to be a part of this, that is like, voiceover anime dubbing is a valid active field that it's always cool to see them, like, blossom into and, like, grow to understand that playing field. And there's some like real breakouts that have just been discovered just over at NYAV, and, like, I'm sitting here going, I cannot believe how effortlessly, like, sweet, sincere, like, just heartwarmingly precious Libby's portrayal of Totsuko is. Because Totsuko is a character who is the main character of this movie. Like, effectively, like, Kibi as, like, the front man of the band, you would assume she is, like, the selling point, she is the main front and center. This is Totsuko's movie. This is her movie about breaking out, discovering, like, it is a movie of her finding out what her true color is. And it's like, to us, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but for her to end that movie as she is finally dancing to Giselle in the way she's always wanted, and gets that brief glimmer of being the color red, that is a satisfactory, fulfilling moment for her as a person, and it's like, that rules.
Oh yeah. No, that's just a beautiful scene. Like, that's
Like, she is a precious character. Like, she is just, like... She is a character that was drawn to be soft. But also, I think it's kind of neat where it's like, oh, okay. She's, like, a soft character, little bigger, but it's also like, oh... You're just sweet girl. I don't know, describe it. Well, we've watched our fair share of animes where it's like an anime character has like a bigger girl in it or something, a little chunky, chubby, and it's like not always the best with those. And it's just like, oh, that is just your design. That is never brought up as being a problem or a thing, and it's just like, oh, she's just this sweet bundle of energy and charm and sometimes seasickness. And she's a dork. And she's just also just kind of has this, like, insatiable desire to create that she did. Like, she has this magnanimous, like, magnetic pull to her that she's like, hey, I wrote a song because I was in class and we were talking about the galaxies today. And then I just did a little ditty on a phone. And then that's their song. I also just love how much personality she has just when she's playing the keyboard. How, like, she starts out the concert very nervous, and she's doing the single finger thing on the keyboard. And then...
It's so fucking cute, man.
It's so cute! And then by the end of it, like, you can tell, oh, she's grooving. She's going with it. And it's like... I also tell, like, you can tell, like, Amen, I'm Going Somewhere is the poppy bit that everybody's grooving to. Like, everybody's there. The nuns are getting into it. The nuns are doing the dance, locked arms together. It's like, oh no, this slaps and they know it. Like, they weren't even there to win anything. The goal was not to win this. It's just, I want to show people what we got, what we could do.
The trap you can fall into when you're making a movie or any piece of art that's about music that's not just an album basically is you have people reacting to a song in a way that feels out of step with what the song is. If it's supposed to be like this amazing banger and you as a songwriter don't get there, it's gonna fall apart. And it feels like the music here is good, obviously. Like this is being made by people who go look up Ushio's like credits on A&M. This is not a guy who's fucking around. But like no, he really fucking did it. Like I totally believe that everyone would start running over and really paying attention to the concert and dancing and just like, yeah, no, this is the fucking song. This is the one.
And it's so cute, because it's like, it is as much, it's like it's about her basically like, I wanted to meet you, I wanted to see you glow into something beautiful. It's like, effectively, it's kind of like a manager finding like a gem in like a club nobody's ever heard of, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like, she saw something beautiful in Kimi, and she wanted to work to bring it out. She wanted to know her, she wanted to find her, and she does. And what happens is it's something beautiful and incredible, and it's this cute poppy banger of a song. As an aside, can I say I think it's adorable that they rhymed Amen with Somen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's adorable wordplay. Just absolutely darling. But for real, there is some kindness, warmth, sincerity that is in Totsuko that Libby absolutely perfectly encapsulate. Every time she's on screen, she is this level of soft warmth that is like she's got problems too. She is not a character that is always happy. How do I describe it? She is not a character who is always naively happy. She is a character who is optimistic to a fault, but has like those moments of doubt, of worry, because it's like, she starts doing the lying, she starts keeping the secrets, and you can tell that weighs heavily on her. But it's like, there is not necessarily any shame to that. You are not a bad person because you told a little lie, or you told a white lie. You are still a good person. You are still a kind person. You just have to be careful about how you proceed to move forward in life. eventually affecting, because she's talking about, like, she starts the movie basically finding serenity in the things I cannot change. And it is Hyoko who tells her there is more to that. It's not just accept the things you cannot change. It is as much to find the courage to change the things that you can. So it is very much, if Garden of the Remembrance is the piece that is about accepting the things you cannot change, the Colors Within, for all of its characters, but especially for Rui, especially for Kimi, and especially for Totsuko, it's finding the comfort of accepting the things you cannot change, but to take the next step, to find that courage within you, to change the things that you are capable of changing. About yourself, about your path, about everything around you.
Like, one of the things I really like about Totsuko's character arc is when Rui meets them in the bookstore and asks if they're in a band, Totsuko's the one who's like, yeah, we're in a band. You want to play with us?
Literally is just doing the dorky, you look cool, get in!
Yeah, no, it says so much about her character that she's the one who instigates that rather than, Kimi, who, obviously, she's not just the surface cool girl she appears to be, but Totsuko being like, not like even like a cynical, calculating way, simply like, an opportunity has presented itself in front of me, and even in the unsure state I am in now, I recognize that this is not something I'm gonna get again. I'm gonna take it.
I want to hang out with this girl. You seem like an alright dude. Yo, let's do a band. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Just hell yeah, brother.
The fact that she does not play any instruments is not going to stop her.
She picked up a book about the piano and is like, oh, do you play piano? And she's like, sure?
Yeah, I'm learning.
Just like the over-bridled confidence of somebody who has, like, never taken that first step in their life and is afraid to take that step. And that's what this movie is about. It is a movie about seeing people whose fear, anxieties, insecurities, and, like, sort of self-made helplessness is broken, that they can take the step to do the thing they've always been too afraid to do. And that's what it means by finding the courage to change the things you can. You can change. You can learn the guitar. You can learn that instrument. You can do that passion. You can do that hobby. You can. All you have to do is just not be afraid of taking the step.
It's so good, man.
And that's beautiful.
It's so good.
That's beautiful. So, this movie slaps, but I love Eddie. I love Kylie. Especially love Libby Rue. NYAV and company, please put Libby Rue in more things. Not only is she precious, adorable in a very human way, let's be real here. That is a voice I can hear being adorable in anime. And y'all should capitalize on that for real, for real.
I actually had a thought while we were talking about her character. Totsuko is like, what if a Moe blob was like a real person? Not in a derogatory sense, but what if that way of viewing the world, but actually?
For realsy, yeah.
Like,
no,
for
I
realsy.
completely understand exactly what you're getting at. And I think it's like, because it's like, I think even like Yamada was mentioning, like, it could have been so easy to open this movie on that gorgeously animated scene explaining her whole condition about being like a little odd and like calling people by their colors.
Yeah.
And her feeling a little different, but like not wanting that to be like a sad scene or something she regrets. It's just like, oh, but she still looks forward. She still does her best, and it's not something that's going to get her down. But it is still, like, her effort of taking the next dramatic step that she could have been too scared to make is rewarded because she gets what she wants. Though I do also think it's extremely funny that the poster and cover of this movie does spoil her color.
Yeah, I was looking at the Steel book, so I was looking at it after I watched it, and I'm like, oh, it just tells you right there, doesn't it?
I think, like, it's a bigger deal for her than it is actually, but I literally was looking at that poster and was like, oh, that just tells you outright. That's really funny. I don't even think that was, like, intended. Or it's just like, oh, yeah, they spoiled that.
Yeah, It's the exact kind of spoiler where you don't know it's a spoiler until you know it is one.
It's like, you know, people that tell you, oh, no, you shouldn't be seeing that, and it's like you wouldn't have known, but because they said that, now you know.
It's like, well, now I'm thinking about it. Why shouldn't I know that? What's happening? Actually, one of the things, since we brought this up a little bit earlier, a thing that I enjoyed about that first scene where she's talking about seeing the world differently, as we mentioned, there's definitely a queer reading of this movie that you can make pretty readily, I think. And I also just want to say that in a similar vein to that, especially based on that opening monologue, if you told me that Tatsuko was autistic or something like that, I would not doubt you for a hot second. Like, I have a friend who once pointed out that unintentional or implicit autistic rep is almost always better than the intentional stuff, and this is a fine example of that.
Oh, I completely see that, especially, yeah.
So especially the bit where Kimmy clocks her in the face with a dodgeball by accident, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I got to see your color. It's fine."
I think look, whether that's autistic coded or queer coded, she sees a pretty girl deck her in the fucking face with a dodgeball, and she basically goes, "Thank you. May I have another?"
It's the one time anything approaching violence happens in this movie, and it's still cute as hell. God bless.
When you think about it, the nosebleed is foreshadowing for Totsuko's true color, because she bleeds red.
And there we it all comes together.
It all comes together, and this is a good way of bringing this crescendo to the climax. So, Amon, did you enjoy this movie?
This movie fucking rocks, dude. Like, this is so good. I had not realized that we brought it up. This movie very much feels like it's a collaboration between Yamada, Yoshida, and Ushio, and I did not realize this is actually the first like non-adaptation thing that they've done together.
Really?
Everything else, obviously Silent Voice is a manga adaptation. Liz and the Bluebird is part of Sound Euphonium. I don't know Sound Euphonium enough to know if that's directly based on one of the books or something like that.
It is part of the story, I think. I assume a lot of Euphonium has taken creative liberties, but yes. It is still technically an adaptive work. You're right.
Yes. And then Heike's story, it's like an updating of like one of these like Japanese novels from like the 17th century that everyone in Japan.
But it's still a couple hundred years old, told stories.
Yeah, they are everything. All the other movies they've done together are at least somewhat rooted in some pre-existing work. This is just straight up an original from the ground up. And to be honest, like, if this is the kind of stuff that they're going to be making going forward, like, I definitely, like, this is primetime viewing appointment for me as far as I'm concerned. This movie's wonderful.
Now I'm glad I could get you in on, like, some of that KyoAni hype that you might have been missing out all these years on.
Bare minimum, I definitely want to go back and, a little less so Ushio just because he's much newer to it, but definitely the stuff that Yamada and Yoshida have collaborated on in the past, that's definitely moving up the list of appointment viewing at this point. Like, I gotta see what I've been missing out on, because clearly I have been missing out.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, this whole this whole film is a charming little simple film. Because, like, I can see why somebody would be put off by it if, like, you're used to a little more conflict, a little more edge. I know we were joking about, like, calling Christian music sauceless, but, like, this is a film that doesn't have too many edges to it in, like, terms of conflict. It's more of, like, internalized conflict. That is, like, the biggest conflict is, like, you are your own worst enemy of the fear, doubt, and self-loathing you feel.
Yeah, I saw someone saying, I think kind of semi-facetiously, this is a movie rooted in vibes rather than plot. And I think, that's a little simplistic, but, like, it's much more about,
there is a point there.
Yeah, like, it's much more about, like, these characters experiencing growth. And it's definitely a little quieter. It's a little gentler. It's not quite, it's not quite aiming at the crowd who I think, even now I think tends to typically kind of consume anime, or watch anime. And I don't think that should not put you off on it. This is a wonderful movie. This dub is exactly what the movie needs to work.
100%.
It's bordering in that level of like I almost don't know what to say. It's too perfect. It's too exactly what the movie needs to work.
It is a great collaboration between creatives from Japan and from the United States that make a pretty damn good concert.
Yes. I would actually I have a suggestion actually, because I was thinking about this, because this is not quite as explicitly about kind of the joy and pain of artistic creation. But I feel like this movie would make a really good double bill with Look Back. I think you watch these two movies together, you're gonna have a really interesting time.
You know, I do remember when I heard they had Garden of Remembrance. I did think that might be a good double feature with Look Back, but simultaneously maybe thought maybe that is a little inappropriate actually for reasons.
I also thought that in that I had a weird thought thinking about this movie about how the difference in ways that people who make manga and anime tend to present themselves online is very different from like American creators. Like if there's a comic book writer named Kurt Busiek, I like him a lot. If I want to know what he thinks about things, I can go to his Blue Sky and I can probably just directly ask him a question and he'll answer it for me. He's very happy to do that. Japanese creators, even ignoring the fact they're writing in a language I can't speak, they tend not to be as public about it. And so I had a thought of like, it's weird that I thought it was weird that we've now had like two pieces of art that feel like they're in conversation with the KyoAni arson attack, because of course those are going to exist. That was like a big traumatic thing. A lot of people are going to have feelings about that.
And like, of course, the obvious is, well, we are just like some people want to forget about it or make like fantastical distractions and isekai and all that. But like people who really want to get this out and really want to like scream their feelings do so through art.
Yes.
And that's what's beautiful, magical, and deserves to be celebrated about it. That's why I'm glad I'm here with you tonight, celebrating this movie, this dub, on this podcast I'm really passionate about doing.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for doing this with me, buddy. This has been a ton of fun.
Anytime, man. This is great. This is the most fun I've had, and this might be the most fun I've had on this podcast, frankly. This is wonderful.
And I basically also just gave you carte blanche to talk about the sicko music stuff.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Like this is one of the anime we're covering that is going to be so in my wheelhouse it hurts, and I appreciate that. Thank you, bud.
And this is also going into the deep conversations about what is or is not, in fact, good Christian media from something that is not, from somebody who is not Christian. And I don't know if you are Catholic, I just know you are the hipster lumberjack atheist, maybe?
It's a great question. Like, my I put it this way, my mother's family is Catholic, but my mother is not. So that is a thing that I, like, I know about it, sorta, but not in a way where I can really feel like I can speak to with any authority. Other than, I've seen a lot of jokes that talk about how, like, people who are raised Catholic tend to be normal people, and people who convert to Catholicism when you're an adult, like J.D. Vance, tend to be absolute psychopaths. And based on my own relatives, like, yeah, that checks out. Like, all my Catholic relatives are very normal people. I don't know who these, like, anti-abortion psychos are, but they're not anyone in my family tree as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I think this concert is coming to a close. If you would like to check out The Colors Within, you can do so and get it on digital rental platforms, but it is on home video on standard Blu-ray, or nice little steelbooks that we got are still available. They're selling, G-Kids is selling those. You can get those wherever home video is sold. So like your Crunchyroll stores, your Walmarts, your wherever home video is sold. If you're up in the northmost part of Maine, check out a Bull Moose. That is a store for people in this movie.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you could also just, if you would like to listen to us, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can find us over on podcast platforms. You can also find us on YouTube, but we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean. If you would like to support the show, you could give us a one-time donation on our Ko-fi, or if you would like to be a regular supporter and get your name written out at the end of these episodes, you can do so. Like our $5 tier patrons, Bright Eyes 505, Just J2, Quinoa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Megan's Mom and Dad, and Michelle Travis. And if you were like one of our $10 tiers, you could do so like Anthony Brown, Carly Lestical, Julia W., Pika Greg, and Shoulder. So, my name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me over on the Blue Sky at classyspartan.bluesky.social. I am also on the Twitter because I do need to find out some news every now and then. But let's put it like this. I have started to, on the Twitter, retweet slightly lascivious anime girl pictures because who cares? It's a little stinky over there, we all know it.
That's a spirit.
If you like to see the classier side of Classy Spartan, you go over to my Blue Sky. And if you'd like to listen to me talk about anime, I talk about the latest anime and anime news on Surreal Resolutions Podcast O&A alongside a fellow Dub Talk co-host, Jet. Amon, where can the wonderful people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky as well at AmonDuelUS. I'm also technically on Twitter, although I don't think I retweet much anymore. I mostly just have it to keep a tab on things, and that's about it. I also have a very infrequently updated blog called theworldthat'scoming.blogspot.com that might get an article at some point in the near future. I don't know. If I can get off my ass and finish it, it might get posted up there, so you can check that out too. But if you see me on Blue Sky, I will mostly talk about movies and comic books and such bullshit, and of course, music. I know the whole episode is a dusty old song segment, but
do you have a specific dusty old song segment to the dusty old song? What do you call it? Like grand finale?
Yeah, I have a couple, but I have a few tail ends I wanted to bring up first. One, I thought oddly enough, just very appropriately. Yamada has mentioned a few places that she likes Cyndi Lauper, and Cyndi Lauper actually has a very nice ballad called True Colors, which I think is probably a coincidence, but that felt appropriate.
It does feel very appropriate for the colors within.
Yes. Another thing is, on that Bibliotech interview that I listened to her, at the end, actually, the host there asks her, like, oh, last time we interviewed you, we asked you to recommend a movie because you're a big movie person. Can you recommend a band we should check out? And the one she ended up recommending was an album called The Shader by a artist called Agraph. And the reason that is important is that Agraph is the pseudonym that Kensuke Ushio used to put music out under.
Oh, that's good.
No, it's better. Listening to The Shader made her think, I should hire this guy to work on my upcoming movie, A Silent Voice.
Holy shit.
All these collaborations, that is from her listening to that album, thinking that is good, and thinking I should collaborate with this dude. So
that fucking owns.
And for my Dusty Old Song, I have two, one of which is sonically appropriate, one of which is thematically appropriate. The thematically appropriate one is there is an Irish math rock band called Adivisi Shank, who I really love. They broke up many years ago, and then out of nowhere earlier this year, they reformed and put out a new single. It is called Start a Band. And I will be honest, it is the kind of music where I can imagine someone listening to and be like, yeah, I should start a band.
And that is what this movie is about. Fancy that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound anything like this, but thematically appropriate. But if you like this kind of music, I'm going to highly recommend that you all check out the band/musical project Ginger Root, who I think do a very compatible blend of taking a lot of old sounds and recontextualizing them in ways that I think are interesting, but not too like, we just want to ape shit from the 80s we like. It's like, we want to take these sounds and do something new and interesting with them. Case in point, as of earlier today when we were recording, Ginger Root played a short set of anime songs at Anime Expo, and you can now find that on their YouTube page.
And guess what? That is relevant, because he's playing songs from K-On! And he's dressing up as the girl from K-On! Which Naoko Yamada directed.
It's all connected, guys. It's all connected. So do yourself a favor and do that.
On real talk.
Yeah.
I think he's coming to New York again. I have no idea if I'll be able to get the time off.
I know, but if you can, you should. He puts on such a good show, and he is going to be... I saw the announcement for this. They're going to be taking a break after this for a little bit, just because, like, they got a new album to record. Some of the other guys want to do other stuff. So, like, if you can get the time off to go see one of the concerts he's doing, I think he might be doing a couple. Yes.
I will consider it because it's literally the month before my big trip.
Like, I'm gonna say, like, if you can't, that, like, you know, unless he, like, drops dead sometime in the next 2 years, God forbid, don't actually let that happen. Don't let Apollo give me the insight this time. I don't need that. He will tour again, but if you can swing it, like, I'm very salty that he doesn't seem to be coming anywhere near Boston. I would buy those tickets in a heartbeat if I could. But if you can do it, do it.
Fair enough. Anyways, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. The Summer at the Movies will continue onwards with a visionary voice who was taken from us far too soon, fancy enough. One Satoshi Kon returns next on Summer at the Movies, but thank you very much for listening to this. It is time for the curtains to go down. Thank you very much. Otaku on. Have a great day. Let's go get Soman.
Rock over Boston, rock on Chicago.